That is one big pile of
Hey guys, we just saw Transformers The Last Knight, and just so y'all know, quite a bit of our videos will be in a car or just some other place, because right now we don't have our permanent set like we had for a while because we are not living with each other as of now.
Transformers The Last Knight is the 5th installment to the Mixed Review franchise, which is again directed by Michael Bay.
And this movie stars Mark Wahlberg, Laura Haddock, and somehow Anthony Hopkins. And I would love to tell you all the plot of this movie, but to be honest, neither me or Zach have any idea what this movie is actually about. So here we go.
It starts off back in the Stone Age. A certain MacGuffin was given to Merlin the sorcerer, and they flash forward to the present day, and this staff that was given to Merlin is being sought out by a lot of people. I don't necessarily know who all wants it or what it does necessarily, but it's supposed to be a powerful weapon, but that's about all I got. And guys, to be honest, I have liked pretty much all the other movies in this franchise, except for the second one. I didn't like the second one, but I've liked the first one, the third, and the fourth one. But I have no idea what they're trying to go for in this movie. I really think that they jumped the shark in this one. Because they had the whole movie center around King Arthur and the Stone Age, which just felt so shoehorned.
Another thing I want to talk about is the characters. Now, I know Zach liked the fourth one, but I honestly didn't like the fourth one. But if I'm going to say something that the fourth one did better than this movie, is what they did with the characters. And even though I hated the characters in the fourth movie, I felt something for them in a weird way. I felt some kind of emotion towards them, which was an emotion of hate, but still an emotion. In this movie, I felt absolutely nothing for these characters at all. They gave me nothing to grasp onto. Even Mark Wahlberg's character, who was in the fourth one, I didn't care about him at all. And then they somehow got Anthony Hopkins to be in this movie. I have no idea how they got Anthony Hopkins, but they did. And I did not care about him at all. Now, I will say he was the best performance in this movie, but his character was still not great, and his dialogue was awful, and so was the dialogue for pretty much every single character, including some very cheesy lines from a lot of the Autobots and Decepticons.
A lot of the comedy was just so off. I don't mind cussing in movies, but they honestly tried too hard to throw in cuss words. It sort of felt like they thought they were automatically funny when they threw in these jokes that use cuss words. And just in general, all the jokes were just so awful.
There's a character named Isabella, and at the very beginning, you feel like she's going to have a very important role in this movie. They actually make it seem like she's going to be very important. But she seems to disappear throughout this movie over and over again, and it seems like they almost forget that she existed, and all of a sudden they're like, oh crap, we forgot about this character, we need to write her in, and she shows up in random places, but she never actually does anything of importance to the story.
This movie honestly was all over the place. I was watching it, and I was honestly so confused on what all was happening and who was doing what and why they're doing this and who was going after what. And it just got jumbled around.
It honestly felt like in the writing room, they all just started spitting out a whole bunch of ideas and just used every single one of them. And then somehow we're like, let's put this in a way where we'd actually make some kind of storyline through it all.
It's sort of like they try to stuff in as many storylines as they could and just hope that one of them was compelling enough for people to like. One major complaint about the previous movies in this franchise was that they focused too much on the humans and not enough on the Transformers. This one was the first one that I can actually agree with those arguments, because they spent way too much time on the humans and barely showed the Transformers like at all, or had any storyline with the Transformers.
And yeah, and the worst part of that is, like we said earlier, the characters are not compelling whatsoever, and I couldn't give any less of a crap about anybody.
And there's a lot of things thrown into this movie that was from the first one, and it truly felt like they just threw them in there just so they could try to make the fans happy, but they didn't fit.
Now we're gonna go and talk about a few spoilers in this movie, so if you don't want this movie to be spoiled for you and you haven't seen it, go ahead and go to this time mark right here. So like I said earlier, Anthony Hopkins, I didn't even care about his character. His acting was good, but his character was just nothing about him that I cared about. And including even when he died. I mean, these characters, I was with them through the entire movie and I learned nothing about them, gained no information, and gained no reason to care for them, including Anthony Hopkins' character. When he died, I just did not care at all.
The MacGuffin for this movie was the staff, and I really did not understand at all what this staff actually was or what it did. But they made such a big deal about this staff, and the whole movie was pretty much about them trying to find the staff, and yet they barely did anything with it once they finally got it.
And whenever they actually used the staff, it was kind of just like a cop-out to end everything that was going on, because all they did was they get the staff and they stabbed it somewhere, never really explained what they're stabbing into. They just stabbed it somewhere and it all ended and all worked out for them.
And guys, there was a Martha scene in this movie like there was in Batman vs Superman, only this time it was a lot worse than it was in BVS. And that was when Bumblebee and Optimus Prime were fighting, when Optimus Prime was brainwashed, and out of nowhere Bumblebee started talking and said Optimus Prime's name. And first of all, I don't even know where he got his voice from. It felt like a Deus Ex Machina, because throughout this entire movie and the rest of the franchise, Bumblebee can't talk. And they made a big deal about it because he can only talk through the radio, and yet miraculously he's able to talk. And then even after this scene, after it, he's back to talking through the radio. He doesn't have his voice anymore. So it's just for this one scene that he's randomly able to talk. And adding on to that, he talked at the end of the first movie when he said, "I want to stay with a boy." So it doesn't make any sense why he's randomly getting his voice and then losing it just at random spots.
Now, one thing that really confused me was, I don't know if it's Witwikis or Witwickens. They call it Witwickens in this movie, so I'll just say Witwickens. But they're going through the descendants of all the Witwickens and all the pictures, and all it's so prestigious and so professional. And they decided to go to Shia LaBeouf's character, Sam Witwicky. But in this movie, they try so hard to make things funny that it gets to the point where these jokes don't even make any sense to be there. And so there's a scene when they do that and they go to his picture, and it's like a picture of Shia LaBeouf's character, and it looks like he just like woke up out of bed, and it doesn't make any sense to have that random picture of him looking like that against all these prestigious pictures, whenever in the third one we obviously see that Sam Witwicky took a picture with the President of the United States.
And I was confused about what Mark Wahlberg's character's role was. It was revealed he was supposed to be some kind of knight, hence the name. He was supposed to be like the protector of the Transformers, which I guess technically he was. But it seemed like he was supposed to be something more than that. But pretty much all he did was protect Optimus Prime once from this random sword that came from this thing that was crawling over his body like the entire movie that we knew pretty much nothing about. The only good thing I can say about this movie, and pretty much can be said about all the movies in this franchise, whether you hate them or you like them, one thing that you can't disagree with is that these movies are visual masterpieces, and this one is no different, and that's pretty much the only thing I can say about this movie.
Well guys, this movie was completely terrible. It was awful. I absolutely had no good points that I can even think about it at all. So I'm going to go ahead and give Transformers: The Last Knight an F.
I really wanted to like this one, but it just was too jumbled and too confused. And I was trying to think of good things about this movie so I can give it a higher grade. But I've learned my mistake from Suicide Squad, because looking back at that movie, I wish I would have given it an F. So I'm going to give Transformers: The Last Knight an F.
Congratulations, Transformers. You got both me and Zach to give our very first F on our channel ever. Alright guys, just so y'all know, me and Zach are very happy to announce that we won pre-screening tickets to go see Spider-Man Homecoming on June the 28th, so we will be able to see that early and have a early review over that movie. Well guys, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Also comment below and let us know what you thought about this movie, and let us know what you thought about this review.
And don't forget to follow us on social media. We have Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, all at 2AwesomeMen.
And as always, thank you so much for watching, and you will see us later.